Hello students, welcome to the answer writing program. So today we will be discussing 3 questions from GS1 Physical Geography and the topic is Geomorphology. Let's take an overview of all the 3 questions. So the very first question is related to seafloor spreading. Second question is related to the formation of Himalayas and the third question is related to the mechanism of the festoon formation. Let's start our discussion with the very first question. So the first question says that what do you understand by seafloor spreading theory? Give an account of prominent evidence in its support. So there are 2 parts of the question. First, we need to discuss about what is seafloor spreading theory, and second is about we need to give the evidences that what leads to or what were the various arguments that led to the seafloor spreading theory. Okay. So, starting with introduction, you can directly hit the first demand of the question, that what is seafloor spreading theory, or you can write some background related to this seafloor spreading. Now, we know that there are 3 types of the boundaries. One is convergent boundary, divergent boundary, and the third is about the transform plate boundary. So, the very first question, the seafloor spreading theory is related to the divergent boundary. So, divergent boundaries can be created along the continental crust as well as the oceanic crust. When the divergent boundaries create along the continental crust, it creates the rift valleys. The apt example is about the African Rift Valley. And when the divergent boundary is related to the oceanic crust, divergent boundary, when it creates in the oceanic crust, it leads to the development of mid-oceanic ridges and thus an example of seafloor spreading. So you can write the context or the broader perspective that this seafloor spreading is related to the mid-oceanic ridges, is related to the divergent plate boundaries. So this way you can also start your introduction. Then in the body part, coming on to the first major demand of the question is about the seafloor spreading. Now, what this seafloor spreading is? Now let's understand this is the oceanic crust. Okay, so this is the oceanic crust, oceanic floor or oceanic slab. Now, below this oceanic floor is mantle. In mantle, we know that there are the convective cells. So, when the ascending or the rising limbs or the diverging limbs of the convection current pulls the ocean floor apart, it leads to the new volcanic eruptions from the mantle, thus creating the mid-oceanic ridges. And thus seafloor spreads in the outward direction or in the both the direction, like this way. Now let's see in detail through the diagram. So you understood that what is seafloor. Now let us understand through the diagrammatic representation. Now this is oceanic plate. Due to the rising, ascending or diverging limbs of the convective current, this oceanic plates get ruptures, or first it thins out and then finally ruptures. And this new magma from down comes upward in this particular way, like the plumes or the wedges, like this. This is the collection of the magma. Now, how it looks like? This is the oceanic plate and this looks like this. Now, this creation of the mountainous type structure all along the ocean is known as mid-oceanic ridge. Means a ridge-like structure, a mountain-like structure in the mid of the ocean. Now, this new volcanic eruption comes from below. It erupts from here in both the directions, like this. It comes from below and it spreads in both the direction along this mid-oceanic ridge. Okay, so this is seafloor spreading theory. It means the seafloor is spreading. Okay, now how it spreads out? Like this way, like in both this way, one side on this and one side on this. Now the new oceanic slabs are creating over here and on the opposite side also, and it pushes the older slabs on the either side, on the outward side. So there are the formation of the different features on this mid-oceanic ridges also. Like sometimes some of the features creates like the volcanic mountains, like the guyots, etc. And the volcanic mountains also. Like one of the example is about the Azores Island. So Azores Island is on the mid-oceanic ridge. And when the new magma comes from below, again it spreads out, means these features can also move on the either side with time, with this spreading process. That is why we have seen in the ocean during the exploration that guyos are on the ocean floor. Volcanic mountains are there on the ocean floor. Even if on the below there is no volcanic eruption, there is no new volcanic or the magma eruption, because these features have come from here to here because the sea floor is spreading. Okay, so this is sea floor spreading theory. Now one of the major prominent issue at that particular time exists is that if the ocean floor is expanding at this particular level, but we did not have any evidences that the surface area of the earth is increasing, it means this expanded new oceanic crust should be destroying somewhere else. So yes, after some time we got to know that there are the zone of destructions also, that we say as subduction zones. So at the mid-oceanic ridges, new ocean floor is getting generated, and at the subduction zone, through the trenches, through the subduction process, the older oceanic floor get subducted or melted in the oceans. So this is the destruction process. So at one place new oceanic crust is generated, and at other place this is getting destroyed. Now this is the seafloor spreading theory. Now coming to the second part, we need to give an account of the prominent evidences that how we got to know that this ocean floor is spreading. The very first thing is that we got new magma or the new lava at the mid-oceanic ridges. It means there are the new eruptions, new volcanic eruptions were there, and the material was spreading out, pushing the older rocks aside. Next is about similarity in the rocks. Like at one time, whatever the new eruptions would be, it is of the same material, same time of formation, period of the formation would be same, chemical compositions of the rocks of the new magma will be same magnetic properties would be there. So it means some magma which has erupted on the either side, this is of the same type. When some other new magma will happen or will be occurred, then again that properties would be same. So yes, it shows that sea floor has spread in the past. Next is about paleomagnetic properties of the rocks that have occurred at the same time, has the same paleomagnetic properties. Like in the previous lecture also we have seen that there are the reversal of the magnetic field or the magnetic lines direction on the rocks which got solidified or which got cooled down with the time. Next is about the age of rocks. Now what we have seen during this process, during this exploration of the ocean floor, that the ocean floor which is near these mid-oceanic ridges are new, and as we are going in the outward direction, this oceanic floor age is increasing. It means near the mid-oceanic ridges this is new crust, and as we move away from the mid-oceanic ridges, these are older basaltic rocks. And we did not find any of the ocean basaltic rocks more than 150 to 200 million years. It means the rocks before then, whatever have been created or formed before this period, where were they? So that is why we got to know also about the subduction zone, that they are getting destroyed in the subduction zone in the mantle. Next is about depth of earthquake. Now we should know that when earthquake happens, when the pent up energy gets released, and when there is any any movement in the tectonic plates. So we found out that there are the low depth earthquake are happened along this mid ocean ridges, which have the low focus, means the foci of these earthquakes are very shallow. And we have also observed that near the trenches there are the deep focus earthquakes. It means at one point there are increasing new eruptions. It means there are some tremors, there are some movement of the plates, and at other place there are the subduction process going on. So this way you can write about the evidences for the seafloor spreading theory. So in conclusion, what you can write? You can write about the impacts and the significance of the seafloor spreading. That along with Alfred Wegener's continental drift theory, this seafloor spreading theory has led to the development of the plate tectonic theory. It also helped us in enhancing our understanding of the Earth's geological processes. Okay, so this way our first answer is completed. Moving on to the model answer, starting with the background that who has given this seafloor spreading by Professor Harry Hess in 1960s, then the mechanism behind seafloor spreading, then some evidences, and finally this conclusion. Okay, now moving on to the second question. We need to explain the formation of Himalayas with the help of the theory of plate tectonics. So this is the one demand only, that we need to explain the formation of Himalayas using plate tectonics theory. So in introduction, you can write about the broader framework. That is, in the previous question, as we have written about the divergent boundaries, in this particular question you can write about the convergent boundaries. That when any two plates converge, especially continent, then there is a occurrence of the fold mountain formation. Or you can write about that Himalaya, about some description related to Himalayas. That Himalayas are the world's highest and youngest mountain range, owe their origin to the dynamic forces of the plate tectonics. So you can write about that when it got started, like 40 to 50 million years ago, when the two large land masses, India and the Eurasian plate, got collided. So this way you can write the introduction. Now moving on to the main body part, we need to explain the formation of the Himalayas using the plate tectonics theory. Okay, so you can write about some background, that how this like 225 million years ago, India was a vast landmass located off the Australian coast, separated from Asia by the Tethys Ocean, like this. Then there is a breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea that has initiated the movement of India along the northern direction towards Asia. Around 80 million years ago, India moved towards Eurasian plate at the rate of 9 to 16 km per year, that leads to the ocean continental convergence and the subduction of the Tethys ocean floor. Now let's understand through the diagram. See, this is Eurasian plate. This is majorly a continental plate. What we are saying, that there is an Indian plate which is continental, and attached with it is the oceanic plate, that is Tethys Sea or Tethys Ocean. What we are saying, that Indian plate movement started. So it is pushing this Tethys Sea along this Eurasian plate. Now what we are seeing as, this is continental plate, this is continental plate, and this is oceanic plate. And because the oceanic plate is heavier and the continental plates plates are buoyant, they do not subduct, and the oceanic plates are heavier, denser, and they subducts beneath these continental plates. So while subduction, this plate, whatever it is getting subducted, this gets partial melted and comes as the volcanic mountains. This is the continental arc. These volcanic island, this mountain arc is volcanic in nature. This is the apt example of Dras Mountains, Rakaposhi Mountain in Himalayas. Okay, means this is Eurasian plate, this is Tethys. While the subduction of this Tethys and during the partial melting of this oceanic plate, this results into the creation of the volcanic mountain ranges, which is known as the Dras Mountain. With time, this, as we have seen in the previous sea floor spreading, that there are some features like guyots are there, volcanic mountains are there on the ocean floor, and there are subsequent number of features are there on the oceanic floor. So when this oceanic plate is getting subducted, the features, the rocks, sediments get scrapped due to this continental plate and gets accumulated over here. And this plate is moving downwards, and all the debris, rock material, sediments get started accumulating over here. This way. This is known as accretionary prism. Okay. Now, what we have just looked at, that there is a continental plate, there is a oceanic plate. This is continental plate, and accretionary wedging is getting created over here, and we have the volcanic mountain arc is created on this continent. With time, this accretionary prism get accumulated in a huge amount. This is a volcanic mountain range, this is accretionary prism, and all this oceanic plates get subducted beneath this Eurasian plate, and finally there is a complete absence of the oceanic plate, Tethys Sea. Now there is a complete absence. Now it is fully subducted beneath this Eurasian plate, resulting into the partial melting of the oceanic plates and the creation of the volcanic arc and the creation of the accretionary prism over here. Now, what we are left with? Eurasian plate and the Indian plate. Now, earlier it was the C-O convergence. Now it is C-C convergence. Now, this Indian plate is pushing this accretionary prism along this Eurasian plate. Now, what it results into? Now, this results into the folding of the mountains, folding of the accretionary prism along this plate. Now this results into the starting of creation of the fold mountain. Then there is a C-C convergence. And with time, when this plate gets compressed with time, it also results into the because the continental plates are buoyant, they cannot be subducted. But during the compressive forces between these two plates, what it results into? It results into the upthrust of the one plate. Now, this plate is overriding the Indian plate. It means Himalayas are over here. This is the Tibetan Plateau. Now, there is a doubling of the crust due to this overthrust of the plate. Means one plate, this plate is overriding the Indian plate. So, this is the Eurasian plate, this is the Indian plate, and there is a push to the Eurasian plate, and this is resulting into the doubling of earth crust. Doubling of crust. That is why Himalayas are so high, because of this underthrust of one plate. Okay, so now this is the geological evolution of Himalayas. Let's revise once again. First, there was a continent, oceanic plate was there. There was a partial melting of the oceanic slab, resulting into the volcanic arc formation, resulting into the continental arc formation on this Eurasian mountain, Eurasian plate. And there is a scrapping of the different types of features on the oceanic plates and gets it accumulated over here, resulting into the formation of the accretionary wedge or the accretionary prism. With time, it is resulting into the CC convergence, and with the high compressive forces, this accretionary prism gets more compressed and results into the formation of the fold mountains over here. And with time, there is a overriding of one plate over the other, and now this is resulting into the high or the increasing height of the Himalayas. So this is the all geological evolution of the Himalayas. Okay. So this is what we have already discussed is written over here. Now coming to the conclusion or the summary, that the geological evolutions of the Himalayas serves as a testament to the dynamic processes which is shaping our planet over the millions of years. You can also write about that still the Himalayas height is getting increased by 1 centimeter annually due to the India's northward movement, resulting into the shallow focus earthquake also. So this way you can write about the conclusion. Moving on to the model answer, starting with the Himalayas, the background, then formation, how these Himalayas have been formed, finally to the conclusion. Okay, now let's moving on to the third question. Discussing the mechanism of festoon formation, explain the reason for the higher occurrence in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. So the question has the two demands, that is, first is we need to define the mechanism behind this festoon formation. So this is demand 1. And the second part is asking that why these festoon formations occurrence is higher in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. So this is demand 2. Okay. So let's starting with the introduction part. As we have discussed in the first two exam questions also, that we can write about the context in which it is asked. So this festoon formation or the island formation, because the festoons are the group of island only, which is also known as archipelago. So this is the clear case of the convergent plate boundary, and when the two oceanic plates get converged, this results into the formation of the festoons. So this way you can start your introduction, or you can write about the festoons, that these are the island arcs. This form the archipelago in the shape of loop around the edge of mainland. They are volcanic in origin, formed at the convergent tectonic plate boundaries, typically associated with the subduction zones and the volcanic activity. Okay, now moving on to the body part, we need to see the mechanism behind this island arc formation. Now let's understand through the diagram. We know that whichever oceanic plate is heavier, or when the convecting limb, whichever the convective limb is stronger, that oceanic plate subducts beneath the lighter oceanic plates. Okay, so we know the subduction process when one of the oceanic plate is denser, is heavier, or when the convective limb is stronger, then that oceanic plates get subducted beneath the other oceanic plate, or you can say the other lighter oceanic plate. Okay, so after this subduction, what happens is, this is oceanic plate. Now this oceanic plates is getting subducting over here. This results into the partial melting of this slab of ocean and results into the formation of the volcanic arc on this oceanic plate. We have also seen the submergence or the subduction of the oceanic plate behind the continental plate in the fold mountains. So when this partial melting and the volcanic arc formation happens on the continental plate, that results into the formation of the continental arc. But when this partial melting creates the volcanic arc on the oceanic slab, on the other oceanic slab, it results into the formation of the island arc. Because what we'll see from the top is, this is water, this is water. Now new volcanoes are being created over here, new landmass is getting created over here, new arc, some islands like structure has been created in the ocean water. So that is why these are called as the island arcs. Okay, so what we will see in this is that this is oceanic plate, this is subducting oceanic plate, this is the other slab, and what we will see on this is island arcs, small arc, group of islands are there. This is known as the festoons. The groups of volcanoes, a group of the volcanic islands, these are known as the festoons or the archipelagos. Okay, so this is there. So one more concept over here is that according to the convention only, this is one oceanic slab and this is the subducting oceanic slab. So the side which has the trench, which plate has the trench, and this is the volcanic range or the island range. So this is continent. The zone which has the trench in it, we say as the forearc. And the region behind this volcanic arc or the island arc, we say as the back arc region. So this is the underlying or behind the water body behind this volcanic arc or the island arc. Like for example, Sea of Japan, East China Sea, etc. And this island arc like Andaman and Nicobar Island, Japanese Island, Aleutian Islands, etc. So these are the festoons. So this way we have seen through the diagrammatic process that how this island arcs gets created. Okay, so this way over here, this is only suggested over here. Moving on to the second part, that why there are the higher occurrence in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean with related to this festoon formations. As we have seen then that when there is a oceanic plate convergence, then only we see the festoons formation. Okay, so in this diagram, in this map, we are seeing that this is the convergent plate boundaries. This blue is the convergent plate boundaries. So this is Pacific plate and all this is convergence. All this is convergence. This is convergence. Again, this is converging plate. So when this ocean plate is getting converged, it is resulting into the creation of the Indonesian islands. It results into the creation of the Japanese island, etc. So because there are the higher tectonic activities, there are the higher instances of the subduction zone in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. That is why we have seen the higher cases of the formation of festoons in these two oceans. First point. Second point is about that especially Pacific plate, if we see this, that this is very larger in size, and if you see that the Pacific plate movement is on the higher side, the Pacific plate is moving faster than any other plate, the major plate. So because of the faster movement, because of the huge size, the subduction is huge. That is why we see the higher cases of the festoons. Okay, next is about hotspot activities also. There in Pacific and the Indian Ocean, there are the cases of the hotspot activities also. So intra-oceanic plates, again we can see the islands, some form of islands like the Hawaiian hotspot is also the island arc, but this is created not due to the subduction of the oceanic plate but due to the hotspots activity. So this is also the one case of the formation of the island arc in the oceanic plates. Okay, so this way the body is completed. Finally, moving on to the conclusion, you can write about, because this festoons, the islands, this holds very important role for the tourism, for the recreational process. So we need to conserve and preserve it. That festoon offers the scenic beauty, promoting tourism, and are home to the indigenous population. So there are the different types of threats over there. So we need to tackle that. So like sea level rise acquiring the require the global collaboration for the preservation and conservation. So this way our third answer is also completed. Moving on to the model answer, starting with the definition, then mechanism of the island arc formation, then higher occurrence, why there are the higher occurrence, then finally conclusion. Okay, so this way our discussion is over. Thank you and have a nice day and keep writing.